Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani, Klekras Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know stemming from the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi on Monday, the 30th of March. It's almost the end of the month. We're going to be joined by Mike Sichula as he gives us stories from Zambia, including the incredible Kuomboka ceremony, which happens once every year. But prior to that, these are some of the top stories we'll be looking at. Africa Political Outlook report on the state of African governance delivers mixed messages. Ramaphosa says South Africa's absence from G7 summit is not unusual. Belgian ex-diplomat appeals trial order in Lumumba assassination case. Illegal trade in giant African harvester ants emerges. In football, Senegal parade their AFCON trophy despite the title dispute. Those are some of the stories we'll be looking at on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, 1up2.com, and ntvafrica.my.na. That is Africa with a K. My name is Ashwin Bedi. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
Every weekday evening for the Evening Review as we unpack the issues shaping Namibia. From politics and economics to culture and community life, our team delivers sharp analysis, expert insights and conversations with Namibians across society. It's not just the headlines, it's the full picture. Stay informed and engaged with the Evening Review. Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
Let's get into our top stories. The Africa Political Outlook report, titled Report on the State of African Governance, Forces of the Future, presents a mixed but forward-looking assessment of Africa's political landscape in 2026 following its release at a high-level forum in Brussels. The report identifies governance, legitimacy, partnerships, and global influence as central to shaping the continent's trajectory. It acknowledges positive trends but highlights persistent challenges, particularly within electoral processes. Viwano Nagosono, chair of the advisory board, noted that while elections may appear fair on voting day, broader processes can exclude candidates in ways that undermine true legitimacy. The report indicates that 15 elections are scheduled across Africa this year, placing pressure on institutions to ensure transparency and public trust. It further emphasizes that the credibility of these elections will be critical in determining governance outcomes. Overall, the report portrays Africa as neither marginal nor passive, but as a continent that is contested, courted, and consequential within an evolving global environment. We move on. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has downplayed reports that his invitation to the upcoming G7 summit in France was withdrawn, stating that non-attendance by a country outside the bloc should not surprise anyone. Reports had claimed that the United States applied pressure on France to rescind the invitation, alleging that President Donald Trump threatened to boycott the summit if Ramaphosa attended. France denied yielding to pressure, saying it chose to invite Kenya instead as part of efforts to correct global economic imbalances. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya stated that South Africa had initially been invited by President Emmanuel Macron during the G20 summit in Johannesburg, but was later excluded, citing sustained U.S. pressure. However, Ramaphosa later said that according to his information, there had been no pressure from any country. Here is President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa in his own words.
Mr. President, Moloko Moloto from ENCA, just in terms of the developments from the G7, when we are hearing that we apparently have not been invited anymore by France, do you feel that is a snap, or you understand that perhaps pressure coming from Washington might have forced Paris to exclude us from attending?
My information is that there's been no pressure from any country, the United States or any other country, and the invitation to the G7 does not mean that you are being snubbed if you are not invited or you are being ignored. And there are so many countries around the world that don't get invited to the G7. And we are not a member, and remember, South Africa is not a member. And when we do go, we are invited and we take a message there.
Moving on. A former high-profile Belgian diplomat has appealed against a court decision ordering him to stand trial over the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, Congo's first prime minister, in 1961. Etienne Davignon, aged 93, and a former vice president of the European Commission, was ordered on March 17 to face prosecution for his alleged involvement in Lumumba's killing. His lawyer confirmed the appeal but made no further comment on the case. Prosecutors allege that Davignon, who was a junior diplomat at the time, participated in the unlawful detention or transfer of Lumumba and deprived him of his right to an impartial trial. Lumumba became prime minister following Congo's independence from Belgium in 1960, but was ousted within months and killed by Belgian-backed secessionist rebels on January 16, 1961. A Belgian parliamentary investigation in 2002 concluded that Belgium was morally responsible for his death. Davignon is the only surviving suspect among those accused, making the case a significant opportunity to pursue accountability for a major episode in Belgium's colonial history. Giant African harvester ants have become the focus of a growing illegal trade, and this is in Kenya, where queen ants are being collected and sold to international buyers for up to £170 or $220 each. The trade is centered around Gilgil in the Rift Valley, where swarms emerge during the rainy season, making it easier to capture queens during their mating flights. These ants, scientifically known as mesocephalotes, are prized by collectors who keep them in formicaria to observe colony behavior. A single fertilized queen can produce an entire colony and live for decades, making them highly valuable. Smugglers have used simple methods such as test tubes and syringes packed with cotton to transport the ants, often undetected by scanners. Authorities discovered 5,000 queen ants in Naivasha last year, while another 2,000 were seized at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, the Kenya Wildlife Service has raised concerns about the scale of the trade and its environmental impact. We end in the world with sport. Well, in the world of sport, which has a dash of politics at this point, and that's putting it lightly. Senegal displayed the Africa Cup of Nations trophy before defeating Peru 2-0 in a friendly match at the Stade de France, maintaining their stance despite being stripped of the title earlier this month. Nicholas Jackson scored just before halftime, and Ismaila Sarr added a second goal in the 54th minute to secure victory. Senegal had originally beaten Morocco in January's final, but the Confederation of African Football's appeal board later awarded the title to Morocco after Senegal staged a 14-minute walk-off during the match in Rabat. The decision is being challenged at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Before kickoff in Paris, Senegal's players and coach Pape Bouna Thiaw walked around the pitch with the trophy to strong support from the crowd. The team also wore a new strip featuring 2 stars representing their successes. So we'll certainly be seeing how all of that unfolds. It is my understanding that Morocco's lawyers announced that they were documenting each stage of Senegal's actions. So much to come there from AFCON and CAF. We do know that a high-level CAF manager did resign allegedly just last night. We'll have that full update for you tomorrow. But for now, let's have a look at the weather predictions before Mike Sichula joins us from Zambia.
Do you like traveling?
Do you like to experience new places?
Well, then you should tune into On the Rock, where we explore enjoy establishments all over Namibia and South Africa. Great food, great fun, and so much more. So be sure to mark your calendar as we explore the beautiful landscapes of Namibia at the various enjoy establishments.
And where we also get to go on game drives, different activities, and meet the awesome staff of the different establishments.
We will see you there. Watch On the Rocks every Monday at 9 p.m. on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25.
In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week, because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take. Now, unfortunately, we're having some connectivity issues with Mr. Mike Sichula, but he did send over his stories, and we're going to get through them as best we can, certainly hoping that he can join us still in this broadcast. And of course, we are focused on Zambia. Zambia police have arrested close to 300 individuals following the killing of a 46-year-old businesswoman in northwestern Zambia as investigations into the incident continue. In a related case, 6 additional suspects have been detained in connection with the mob killing of Eneles Kamutumbe in the Kisasa area of Kulumbila. Police spokesperson Godfrey Chilabi confirmed that among those arrested are 10 male foreign nationals believed to be illegal immigrants from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Angola. He added that investigations into the murder and the screening of suspects are ongoing. The arrests come as authorities intensify efforts to address the violence and bring those responsible to justice. The developments highlight ongoing concerns around law enforcement and public safety in affected areas as police continue to pursue leads and gather further information related to the killings in the province. So, a diesel shortage has hit the capital, Lusaka, and authorities are moving to stabilize supply. A diesel shortage has affected Lusaka and other major cities, with the situation largely attributed to fuel hoarding. The Energy Regulation Board has stated that it is working around the clock to stabilize the supply of fuel across the country. A spot check at 5 fuel stations revealed that while petrol remained available, diesel was largely out of stock, with only one station recording available supplies. ERB Acting Director for Petroleum and Gas, Chisuzga Mtawale, said fuel uplifts from the Ndola fuel terminal are ongoing, with tanker trucks already dispatched to various parts of the country. Authorities have indicated that measures are being taken to restore normal supply levels as quickly as possible. The shortage has disrupted access to diesel in key urban centers, raising concerns about availability, while efforts continue to address distribution and ensure consistent supply across affected areas. Now, certainly one of the most colorful and legacy-filled ceremonies, Kuomboka, happened in Zambia, and it was as expected. President Hakainde Hichilema attended one of Zambia's major traditional ceremonies, the Kuomboka, over the weekend. The event is one of the country's most prominent cultural gatherings and draws significant attention each year. His presence at the ceremony highlights continued engagement with traditional leadership as well as cultural heritage. The Kuomboka ceremony remains an important occasion in Zambia's calendar, reflecting long-standing customs and traditions. The president's participation underscores the significance of the event and its role in bringing together communities and leaders. The ceremony continues to serve as a key moment of cultural expression and national identity, with leaders and citizens alike observing and celebrating the occasion. Hichilema's attendance adds to the visibility of the event and reinforces its importance within the broader national context as one of Zambia's most recognized traditional celebrations. Now, my beloved Chipolopolo are preparing to take on Argentina. The Chipolopolo boys are in Buenos Aires, where they are set to face Argentina in a high-profile international friendly match scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday. The fixture forms part of preparations and provides an opportunity for the team to compete against a World Cup side. The match is expected to attract significant attention as Zambia takes on one of the leading teams in international football, and to be specific, the World Cup winners. The encounter offers a platform for the Chipolopolo squad to test their performance and gain experience against top-level opposition. The team's presence in Argentina highlights the importance of international friendlies in building competitiveness and readiness. As preparations continue, attention will be focused on how the team performs in the upcoming match, which stands as a notable fixture in Zambia's football calendar. That has been the Zambia Report. We're going to have a look at the economic indicators, and when we return, the economic news. And in the economic news, we're going to be talking about Zimbabwe formalizing a ban on second-hand clothing imports. And of course, a story which has been huge in Namibia. Starlink and Namibia see Starlink's license application was rejected, and they seem ready to appeal. All of that after the indicators.
This week's decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you'll not find anywhere else. That is the agenda.
All right, as promised, we start our economic news stories in Zimbabwe, where the Ministry of Industry and Commerce has moved to formalize a ban on second-hand clothing imports through Statutory Instrument 59 of 2026, prohibiting their entry unless authorized through a government-issued permit. The regulation states that permits will be granted under strict conditions to ensure imported goods do not enter the commercial market. The move comes despite concerns over the country's struggling clothing value chain. Market watchers have raised questions about the timing of the policy, arguing that while reviving the local clothing industry is necessary, such measures should align with the sector's recovery capacity. Now, Elon Musk's Starlink has announced plans to challenge Namibia's decision blocking its entry, stating that hope is not lost as it moves to appeal the license rejection. The satellite internet provider said it would pursue an appeal following a decision by the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia to deny its application to operate in the country. The regulator rejected both a telecommunications service license and spectrum access, citing failure to meet local ownership, regulatory compliance, and legal requirements. Namibian law requires telecom providers to be at least 51% locally owned, while Starlink is wholly foreign owned and did not seek an exception. Here is Namibia's Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Emma Theophilus, explaining how the country came to its decision. And she will be the one saying goodbye for us, essentially, not literally, but she is the last visual as we say goodbye on Africa Good Morning. Back tomorrow with the Zimbabwe Report and other stories from Africa. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Suresh Kanaka.
Yes, indeed. So Starlink, the operating company, needed to actually register a Namibian sort of entity. So that is why we announced that the company registered is Starlink Internet Services Namibia, Pty Ltd, who then made the application to the regulator. And yes, in terms of 51% ownership, this should be Namibians who hold the shares. How that arrangement comes about, it's up to the particular company, whether they're donating the shares, selling the shares, it's up to the company on how they want to satisfy that requirement of 51% local or Namibian ownership. So it's up to them to do so. The idea is just that we want a company registered in Namibia under Namibian jurisdiction with majority Namibian ownership as per the Communications Act provisions. In terms of question 2, or would the chairperson like to add on question 1?
No.
Okay.
No.
On question 2, IUM radio, indeed this decision was taken into account with the consumer in mind. A big part of that is the criteria on competition. As we all know, competition drives the price down. It ensures that consumers benefit at the end. We also look at holistically the application in terms of public security and public safety. And that is also a big requirement to ensuring that the consumer is well looked after in consideration of an application. We fully understand that for many segments of the society as it stands now, considering the makeup of our country, such a large country, and connectivity costs are quite high because it's a largely geographically sized country with a small population. The cost of data is not where we want it to be in terms of affordability, especially for our vulnerable communities. However, we took into account that the projected amounts that Starlink provided to us in terms of, one, the once-off cost of the terminal. There's a clear indication that if you convert the money they proposed in the application to Namibian dollars, on average you're expecting a terminal for it to be shipped to Namibia to cost around 5,000 to 6,000 Namibian dollars as a once-off cost. And then the monthly cost, when you convert the US dollars to Namibian dollars that they provided in the application, could easily average between 900 to 1,000 Namibian dollars that you need to pay for the terminal to get their unlimited internet. Of course, this is doable for many sections of our community, but it does not actually respond to the communities who might not otherwise afford the current cost of data. So we do not see that if an average Namibian or a vulnerable Namibian in rural Namibia was to invest in a Starlink terminal, the once-off 6,000 cost and the monthly cost of 1,000 on average Namibian dollars does not justify the affordability of that device for the very vulnerable communities that we want access to. We are cognizant of the fact that one